friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Ouroboros Tarot, and today we are going to be doing a reading on you versus them. What is going on in this connection? So I have three groups for you to choose from. We have group 1, group 2, and group 3. Go ahead and pause this video if you need to. Take as much time as you need to find what sits right with you as well as with your person's energy, and I will see you in a minute. Hello group 1, if you chose this peacock, you know what this is? What is this, a partridge? Maybe it's a peacock, I don't know. What is this? You guys tell me. If you chose this pretty bird that I think is either a peacock or a partridge, then this is going to be your reading. And the way we're going to do it today is kind of like a you and them, what's going on in this connection. So I've gotten oracle cards for person 1, person 2, and then the connecting energies. And I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys decide whether or not you're person 1 or person 2. And if this isn't resonating, there might be a different pile for you. And you might also see yourself in both aspects, and I think that's okay too. There could be some mirroring involved. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm really excited about this. So person 1 is showing up in the connection as the salamander and the siren. And their energy toward the connection is the rebel. Person 2 is showing up in this connection as the chickadee and the queen. And their energy towards the connection is the destroyer. And then the connecting energies between the two of you are the advocate, magic. Here, how am I going to do this? I want to make sure everything fits. So we have magic, the advocate, and disruption. Okay. I'm just going to make sure all of this is in shot before we get started. This is very interesting. Okay. I hope you can see everything. Okay, pile 1, group 1. I'm going to go ahead and start with person 1 over here. So person 1 is being represented as the salamander and the siren. And what's interesting about these two cards have a lot of very connective energy. Like I feel like it tells a story. And what the salamander is all about is, you know, when they evolved during the evolutionary process, they were water creatures. And now they're more land creatures. However, their skin excretes this kind of like mucus or slime to protect itself that came from this like evolutionary process. I'm hoping I'm getting that right. Don't quote me. I'm not a vet or a scientist by any means. But there's this oddity to them, and there's this measure of self-protection that they have with them at all times that can be a little bit of a turnoff to other predators or to other creatures around them. And then the siren is all about going into the depths of the water, being called into the depths of the water. So I feel like this salamander person is really struggling right now in terms of going deeper for one, and also wanting to evolve to perhaps not going as deep emotionally, because water obviously represents emotions. But also another thing that the salamander talks about is nonconformity. So I was talking about how they have this odd energy to them, or it's just different. They're different. And for conformity to be something that is mentioned in the salamander, it really hones in on this rebel. And the rebel, I'm going to go ahead and read to you what the rebel light attributes and shadow attributes are. So the light attributes are that the rebel challenges authority to effect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. And the shadow attributes are rejects legitimate authority out of anger, rebels out of peer pressure or fashion. So something that I'm picking up on with this rebel in terms of how the salamander is showing up energetically in this connection is they are a little bit resistant to this. They're resistant to perhaps relationship norms or what would be like a typical monogamous relationship. And they're also very resistant, I want to say, toward being told what to do or how to feel, and they're very sensitive to this. So even if this chickadee is saying like, hey, this is what I need, and it could be very reasonable, this salamander might view it as some type of threat against their autonomy in some sort of way, and therefore they may rebel. I'm sensing the salamander is somebody who just questions everything and really challenges the status quo, and is doing so in this connection at this time. Another thing that I'm picking up on with the salamander and this siren energy is that there is a very strong sexual energy here. So this salamander person might be showing up in the connection from a much more physical headspace right now, thinking much more physically rather than in a heart space. And I get the feeling that this salamander person is really somebody who craves intimate connection, and really with this siren kind of draws people in, has this magnetism to them. But then once they take them down to the depths of, you know, who they are, of the water that they live in, suddenly they kind of push back, they push away. So that's the salamander, and I'm just going to call them the salamander person. So that could be you, or this could be them. But let's go ahead and move on over to the chickadee. So the chickadee person, the chickadee is an animal that is very adaptive. They're very adaptive to their surroundings. They don't necessarily build their own nests. They find nests that woodpeckers have built in the past, and they move in on that as their home. When it's very cold outside, they lower their body temperature to match it. I think that's what the guidebook said. My goodness. There's an adaptability to them. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure the guidebook was talking about how they can lower their body temperature to better be a part of their surroundings and their environment. So I would say that the chickadee person is somebody who definitely knows how to survive and could potentially in this connection be in some sort of survival mode at the moment, especially if the chickadee has reached out to this salamander asking for some kind of support in some way, or expressing emotions in some sort of way, and they have felt potentially that they're being rejected in some type of way. And the queen is all about duality, and duality in the sense of the queen is, so the king is the ego, and then the queen is the acting upon that ego, is the performance of the ego. And what I mean by duality is that the queen is both merciful and merciless. Merciless? Yes. And I'm really picking up on this almost like an identity crisis at the moment, or an identity crisis in terms of what this connection is or where this connection is going. And the chickadee person is really trying to maintain balance in this connection on their own at the moment, is what this chickadee feels like. And then with the destroyer here, the destroyer's light attributes are releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life, and the shadow attributes are intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. And what I'm sensing from this is that the chickadee person is really teetering on this idea of perhaps letting go of this connection. They're really weighing their options at the moment on whether or not this connection is still something that is good for them. So the chickadee person, I feel as though, has really taken a step back from this connection energetically, if not physically as well. But that's what I'm getting from the chickadee person. And then this right here is what the connecting energies are. So these are the energies that are between the two of them. And we have magic, disruption, and advocate. And the light attributes of advocate are inspires you to put compassion into action. And the shadow attribute is embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. And I'm sensing that both of these people, the salamander and the chickadee, both feel this spark and both really feel energetically drawn to one another. However, both of these people, the chickadee and the salamander, are both in very like runner chaser energy. Like they're both the runner and they're both the chaser is what I'm picking up on. There's a duality to both of these people. And I think that they're both feeling this disruption. They both feel a chaotic energy between them because there is a chaos. This is the connecting energy. There's chaos between the two of them. There's magic, there's this passion, and there's chaos. There's like this push-pull between the both of them. And for advocate here, I'm sensing that both of them really do care for this connection. However, they both appear at the moment to not really be putting energy into it, even though this is weighing heavily on both of their minds. But this is what I'm seeing. So if this resonates with you, if you are the salamander or the chickadee, or you see yourself in both, or you see your person in both, let's go ahead and get into some tarot. So I'm going to go ahead and ask what's going on in this connection. And I think how I'm going to do it, well, let's just get into it. What is going on in this connection? What is going on in this connection? Okay, I'm just going to take the first one. We have the King of Pentacles. I'm going to put it right here. We have the Two of Pentacles and the Moon. What is going on in this connection? We have the Ace of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and the Ace of Swords. Okay, why is the King of Pentacles here? We have the Five of Cups. Just want to make sure that all of this is in shot. Yes. Okay, why is the Two of Pentacles here? We have the Nine of Cups. Why is the Moon here? We have the Chariot. Why is the Ace of Pentacles here? We have the Star. Okay, for the Five of Pentacles, we have the Hierophant. And why is the Ace of Swords here? We have the Two of Wands and the King of Cups. And the bottom of the deck energy is the Hanged Man. Okay, let me make sure we can see everything. I might just put that here. Oh, my coffee is here. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to put this chickadee out on top like this so we can see in the salamander. Okay. So pile one, what is going on in your connection? I'm going to go ahead and start with the salamander. And this is the energy that should represent the salamander. However, go ahead and flip-flop if you need to. So what I think is really interesting is this Moon and the Chariot. And again, it's giving me the same type of feel as this siren does, where the Moon is really calling the salamander to come back to the water, even though they are now land creatures. It's really calling them to take a look at the depths of their emotions It's calling them to take a look at the fears they have in seeing those emotions and in allowing their heart space to be open. And there is just there's this strong calling right now on the salamander's end to really dive in to their feelings in terms of this connection. However, with the moon being here, these are feelings that bring up an immense amount of fear for the salamander. And even though there's this huge calling that they feel, there's this strong calling that they feel to do this, it would be foolish of me not to mention the intensity of the fears for the salamander in doing so. Another thing with this Two of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups that I'm sensing is yet again more duality. The Nine of Cups is all about emotional fulfillment. It's all about wishes coming true. It's emotional stability. It's just pure contentment. And at the same time, so in the Rider-Waite deck, this person is sitting alone, waiting for all of their friends and their family and their loved ones to arrive, and they just know that they're going to. So there is this sense of like camaraderie and connection and intimacy in the Nine of Cups, but the Nine of Cups itself is a very solo energy. And I'm really sensing this resistance, especially with the Rebel and with the Salamander being such a non-conforming energy. I'm sensing that this person the Salamander is really struggling right now in terms of understanding that diving into these emotions and also having an intimate and emotional connection with the chickadee will not suddenly make them lose sight of the other aspects of themselves. And I'm sensing right now that they're struggling with understanding the concept of interdependence rather than like independence or codependency. They really don't understand it. And it's something that's it's kind of like an enigma or an anomaly, and they want to understand it. They really do. There are deep feelings here. They're just not sure. I just don't think that they've navigated anything like this before. And then we have the King of Pentacles and the Five of Cups. And I'm sensing that this salamander is feeling very emotional about this connection right now. Whether or not the salamander senses that they've let this chickadee down, whether or not they're realizing that they should have advocated for this connection in the past, or they should have met the chickadee halfway, and now they see that this chickadee is suffering in some type of way or is pulling back. They're really feeling this right now. They're feeling the loss, and they're drinking from these emotional cups of water. They're in this feeling of sadness, but there's so much more to this connection than just sadness, and that's what scares them. And also with this King of Pentacles, I'm sensing that again, it's just it's like a power struggle of some kind. Like they really want to sit in their throne and feel stable, and not necessarily focus on this from an emotional standpoint, from a cups standpoint. They'd much rather stay in this pinnacle type of energy. However, the drive is very strong to go past that. I'm sensing for a lot of the salamanders, this is earth or water energy. So that would be Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Yes, there's conflict in this salamander. There's push and pull energy here, which I also sensed in the chickadee as well. So I do sense a lot of mirroring here. And then on the side of the chickadee, we have the Ace of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, and Ace of Swords. And I see a desire here on the chickadee's end to really have some sort of new beginning, to start over. I sense that this chickadee has felt very confused with the Queen here and the duality that I was talking about. I'm really sensing that they desire to have clarity in this. There's confusion in whether or not they should walk away or they should stay, because they're not really sure how this salamander is going to show up in the future, and how it is right now is not working for them. They want something stable and they want clarity. And in terms of stability, this chickadee feels as though if they could have a much more stabler connection with the salamander, in whatever terms that may be. It could be something that is a little bit more non-conforming in terms of a connection, but if it just had a little bit more stability, I feel as though the chickadee would find this to be some sort of wish fulfillment. This would be a dream come true, and there's very, I think that's the strongest desire of this chickadee, is to just have a stable, more sustainable connection with this salamander. And then we have the Five of Pentacles and the Hierophant. And what's interesting about this Hierophant in general is that this is typically the Hierophant is a very solo card. There's one person on it, but here we have people coming together and attaining spiritual enlightenment and spiritual development and higher learning together. And I sense with this Five of Pentacles that this chickadee person is, while they are adaptive, while they can survive in harsh conditions, while they can adapt to any sort of environment or connection that they are placed in, they don't, just because they can doesn't mean that they want to continue to put up with this. They feel as though they've been left out in the cold, and they don't necessarily want to continue to lower their body temperature to meet the needs of the environment. They want the environment to start meeting the needs of them, if that makes sense. And they really want to come together. This Hierophant gives me much more union energy, and the Hierophant is all about learning, but also unlearning. And I'm sensing that this chickadee is still open to meeting this salamander halfway. However, this chickadee does feel as though this connection needs to evolve or level up in some way, shape, or form that fits right for both the chickadee and the salamander, not just on the salamander's terms. And then for the Ace of Swords to be here with the Two of Wands and the King of Cups, I feel as though this chickadee wants to have clarity, and they feel as though if this salamander could just be a little bit more forthright, or a little bit more clear in their communication and what it is that they want, what it is that they're hoping for, how it is that they're planning on showing up, things like that. If this chickadee could receive clarity or insight in some sort of way from this salamander, I feel as though this chickadee would be able to make a decision. The Two of Wands is all about decisions and choices. And the chickadee isn't, what I'm sensing from the chickadee is that this is much more watery energy. So we have the King of Pentacles over here, and then we have the King of Cups here. I sense that this chickadee is, rather than struggling with wanting to maintain a more composed, non-emotional aura about them like this salamander does, this chickadee really wants to make decisions based on how their heart feels, what their heart is telling them is right. And they want to do it in a balanced way that also keeps their mental space in mind, their mental health in mind. And then for the connecting energy, we have the Hanged Man. And I feel as though right now there is some sort of crossroads, or there's some sort of stop. And it doesn't feel permanent. It feels like it's a moment of rest. It's a moment of rest between the two of these people, so that nothing rash or impulsive is done at the moment. So for right now, I feel as though the connecting energy between both of these people, regardless of what it is that they want, is surrender. And I think with Advocate here, this surrender, this energy of letting go, isn't necessarily like, I don't see it as these two people are wanting to or are planning on letting go of this connection. It's more like surrender for the sake of saving the magic that's in it and stopping this disruption. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I'm going to go ahead and pull some advice for you guys. Okay. What advice is there for pile 1? What advice is there for pile 1? Okay. We have, I celebrate my progress. Awareness, not perfection, is the goal. Very interesting. I think that both of these people, if not both, especially more than likely the chickadee, has become much more aware of their patterns. There's a sense of duality in both of these people, and there's a push and a pull that's coming from both of them, and I'm sensing that there is an awareness to these thought patterns at least happening on the end of one person. And if it's not you, Spirit is really encouraging you to start being more aware of the patterns that you're bringing into your connections. And if you are aware of it, Spirit is really asking you to celebrate yourself. It's not all about just constantly working on yourself. Sometimes you do the work, there's still work to be done, but you let things settle and you celebrate the progress you have made. What other advice is there for pile 1? Okay. I am willing to see my sameness with others. This opens my awareness to oneness. Another card on awareness. Very interesting. Go ahead and put that there. And then we have, I trust that my intuition is always leading me in the right direction. Okay, and then I'm also going to get some of these love and relationship advice cards. What advice is there for pile 1? No scorekeeping. I cut ties with past conflicts and make my personal life a clean, shiny slate. Beginning this moment, everything is new. When an old grievance repeats itself in my head, I introduce it to new head tenants, tolerance and equanimity. Then I give it its stupid t-shirts and records back and tell it to leave. And one more. What advice is there for pile 1? Oh my gosh, okay. I'm going to take this one. This is independence, which I think is, we were just talking about this. Independence, interdependence, things like that. I embrace total independence and I see how empowering that is. Even when I'm in a relationship, I can still be independent by meeting my own needs and creating my own happiness. When I do that, I'm the fullest version of myself and I have much more me to give without needing pieces of me in return. A scientifically impossible expectation. Okay, pile 1. This is where I am going to leave you for today. If this reading resonated with you, I would love to hear about it in the comment section down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so that I will have the chance to read for you again in another video. And hopefully I will see you again soon. Bye! Hi, pile 2. If you chose this snake, then this is going to be your reading. So basically how it's going to work today is it's going to be a reading of kind of like you, them, what's going on. And I've pulled oracle cards for person 1, person 2, as well as what the connecting energies are. And I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide which person you are, which one is your person. There might be mirroring energy, or you might see yourself in both of them, or your person in both of them. Just go ahead and take what resonates, leave the rest, and if this does not resonate, there are other piles to choose from. So let's get started. So person 1 is being represented by the goose. And they're also being represented by the starborn. And their energy toward the connection is the gambler. Person 2, put that there, is being represented, they have 2 animals. They are being represented by the chipmunk and catfish and the mother. Let's see. I need to figure out a better way to like have my phone. Okay, and then their energy toward the connection is the poet. Okay, I'm gonna move this over because I'm gonna need more space. And then the connecting energies in the connection are isolation, child magical, and rest. Okay, group 2, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with this side, the goose person. I'm going to call this person the goose and this person the catfish or the chipmunk. I'm going to call them the chipmunk. Okay, so the goose is this person is being represented by the starborn, the goose, and the gambler. Or their energy is the gambler. And what I'm sensing with this is that this goose person is really on some sort of journey right now. This person probably feels a very strong calling to something much bigger than they ever thought. There could definitely be a lot of inner child healing going on right now. The Starborn as a card calls you to go back to your birthplace, to go back to your birth journey, your birth story, and really explore that. And the Goose also talks about travel, and the Goose flies south every winter with other people, and I really do feel as though this is some sort of emotional journey for this person. They are really in a state of personal enlightenment, personal growth, personal evolution, and they're really drawn to this. It's something that I think is like a soul calling. Even if they wanted to resist this, eventually it would overtake them. The call to this journey, the call to know more, to be more, to do more, is very strong for this Goose. And for the gambler to be here as the energy that this person is bringing toward this connection, I feel as though this person the Goose has some sort of energy of just kind of like, que sera, sera. Like they're just like, whatever will be, it's gonna be fine. They're really not trying to overthink this at the moment. They're really, and it could be very frustrating for this chipmunk, because it might not seem as though this Goose is putting in a lot of effort right now. However, I think that there's something much stronger that is being called to them at the moment, that they are really focusing on. And then over here we have the chipmunk, the mother, and the catfish. And let's see, what did it say about the catfish and the chipmunk? I just got this deck, this animal deck, and I'm really excited about it. But I don't know the cards very well. And the chipmunk, yes, I remember. This is very conflicting energy. This person is showing up as 2 conflicting energies. For one, this would be earth, this is water, this is air. So this person could be an air sign, this person could be a water or an earth sign. It doesn't have to be the case, but this person is really conflicted right now in terms of wanting to let go, wanting to go with the flow, wanting to kind of have this energy that this other person is showing up in. But also with the chipmunk, it's clinging, it's hoarding, it's preparing, wanting to really take on this attitude of control. And what's really interesting with this chipmunk person is that they're also showing up as the mother. So the starborn is showing up as somebody who needs to go back and do some inner child's healing perhaps, or look at their origin story, their birth story. And the mother kind of takes on that role in terms of this connection. I don't see this as like an actual parent-child relationship, although I guess it could be. I do try to do more like romantic types of readings. That's my intention for the most part, unless specified otherwise. Romantic and platonic, like in terms of friendship or career. I haven't really done anything in terms of family, but I'm sensing that this chipmunk person is really kind of putting on the facade of like this mother role toward this goose. And there's a lot of care for this connection. There's a lot of concern. There's a lot of nurturing being done. However, with the role of the mother, it's also very hard to let go when somebody wants to fly out of the nest. And I'm sensing a resistance on this person's end to let this goose travel, to let this goose go do what it needs to do. I'm sensing that there's a fear here that they're going to lose this connection if they don't cling on to it. But then at the same time, they're logical enough to know that in matters of love, autonomy and freedom are a must. And I think that they're conflicted at the moment. And the energy towards this connection is the poet. I don't know if I can't remember if I read the attributes for the gambler, but for the poet, the light attribute expresses soul insights in symbolic language, and the shadow attribute turns a lyric gift into a negative or destructive effect. And I think that this chipmunk person is really struggling right now in accepting things for what they are, and seeing the beauty in what it is, and seeing the growth of this goose, and seeing the growth of themselves. And they do see it and they want to celebrate that, but also there's this upset about it. They're upset and they feel this isn't how they wanted it to go. And again, here we have more imagery of this person letting these doves go, letting them be free. And then the energy toward the connection that both of these people share is isolation, child, magical, and rest. And again, we have this like mother-child type of dynamic going on. And the light attributes of child, magical, are seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things, the belief that everything is possible. And the shadow attributes are pessimism, depression, and disbelief in miracles, believing that energy and action are not required for growth. So at the moment, I think that this connection has really, the brakes have been put on it. There has definitely been a pause in this connection. However, for child magical to be here, I'm still sensing from both parties an immense amount of care for one another, an immense amount of love, and some optimism and also some pessimism. Like when you really want something, of course, you feel optimistic about it, but also your ego can get in the way of starting to assume the worst or think the worst, think the what ifs. And I think that both parties have a little bit of this concern, but also optimism in terms of this connection. There's conflicting, it's conflicting because there's love, and in love, one wants to bring about joy and freedom for the other person. One ought to help the other person become the best version of themselves, their highest self. You know, you don't want to, it's not love if you're bringing the other person down or trying to get them to operate at a lower vibration. And I think that both of these people acknowledge that. However, at the same time, love can really muddle your thoughts, especially when there's a fear of being hurt involved. And so I think that there's just this inner inner conflict going on right now between the both of these people. But if that resonated, let's go ahead and get into the tarot. So we'll go ahead and ask what's going on in this connection. Okay, what is going on in this connection? Okay, we have the 8 of Pentacles reversed. What's going on in this connection? We have the Page of Swords. We have the Ace of Swords reversed. What's going on in this connection? We have the 9 of Wands, the 7 of Wands. What's going on in this connection? We have the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Why is the 8 of Pentacles reversed here? We have the 6 of Pentacles. Why is the Page of Swords here? We have the 2 of Cups. Why is the Ace of Swords reversed? We have the 2 of Pentacles reversed. Why is the 9 of Wands here? We have the King of Cups reversed. This is very interesting. A lot of these cards were in the last pile, but they were upright. Why is the 7 of Wands here? Oh, there's another one. The 5 of Wands reversed. And why is the Ace of Pentacles reversed? We have the Star reversed. Wow. Okay. And on the bottom of the deck, we have the 9 of Swords. Okay, let me just make sure that everything is in shot. Okay, so the cards on this side are going to represent the goose. If it doesn't, if it flip-flops, that's fine too. Go ahead and move it around as you see fit, you know best for your situation. And then this side is going to represent the chipmunk / catfish. Okay, so what is going on in this connection? I'm sensing a little bit of frustration on this goose's end. With the 8 of Pentacles here and then the 6 of Pentacles here, I'm sensing as though they feel as though there has been an imbalance in this connection for quite some time in the amount of work that has needed to be done. And quite frankly, I bet the chipmunk person feels the same way. However, I think it would probably be for different reasons. I feel as though the goose feels like they've had to put in a lot of work in this connection to help the chipmunk person feel very assured, very comfortable or safe in this connection. And what I'm sensing is that it has not been enough for this chipmunk person, and this goose is with this card reversed, I feel as though they are putting a halt to that level of work and are looking to find balance instead. They're looking to find balance in themselves, to show up for themselves, as well as to show up for this chipmunk. And then at the same time, they're also looking to find balance between the chipmunk showing up for them and the goose showing up for the chipmunk. So that's what I'm sensing there. And then we have the Page of Swords and the 2 of Cups. I sense that even though there is this frustration here, this 2 of Cups is a union card. This is a very loving energy of soulmates, of twin flames at times. And you'll know, I'm not saying that is what you are. You yourself will know if that resonates. And the Pages of Swords are all about redirection, inspiration, and I'm sensing that this goose person doesn't want to give up on this connection. They just want to see some sort of change to it. How it's working right now is it's not working for them. And they really want to come with the Two of Cups here. This is also about compromise. They really want to come up with some sort of compromise that perhaps neither one of you have thought of yet, but they see as necessary if this connection is going to survive. And, you know, they could also, this won't resonate for all of you, and I'm not seeing it here for all of you, but they could also really be desiring to apologize for something. However, I do feel as though they do believe that they have put in more than enough effort to prove themselves. Whether or not that's you or them, or if you're the chipmunk, if you believe this, if you don't believe this, this is what this goose, I'm sensing this goose feels, is just kind of like they're just done putting in effort because they feel as though it's pointless, like it's not good enough. And then we have the Ace of Swords reversed and the Two of Pentacles reversed. I'm getting the feeling, again, there's this imbalance. For this Two of Pentacles to be reversed, there's this very, very strong imbalance right now. And I feel as though the goose really doesn't understand where this chipmunk is coming from anymore. There's a strong lack of clarity in the eyes of this goose, and a lot of misunderstanding. And because of this, there's what's the word? There are overreactions or hyperreactions to one another because there's just a lack of understanding from this goose's perspective. And then if we come over here to the chipmunk / catfish, we have the Nine of Wands, the King of Cups reversed. This chipmunk also feels very, very burdened, or very, they want resiliency. They desperately want to be resilient. However, they don't have a very good grasp over their emotions right now. And you can see it with this catfish and the chipmunk. These are two very conflicting energies. And I think mentally, this chipmunk / catfish understands how they want to show up, what this connection should be looking like in terms of a healthy connection. But at the same time, their emotions are really overwhelming them right now, and they don't really feel all that understood. They feel like giving up because they don't feel seen emotionally or understood emotionally. And then here we have the Seven of Wands and the Five of Wands reversed. And this is, again, energy of conflict. I think with the Seven of Wands here, this person feels very protective over themselves as well as this connection. However, with the Five of Wands reversed, they want to protect themselves and this connection. However, they don't want to feel as though they're having to compete. They're done with this energy of having to compete for the goose's attention. And then the Ace of Pentacles is reversed and the Star is reversed. I sense that this chipmunk feels hopeless. Like they know what they want, and that's to have these cards upright, to have some sort of stable new beginning. And both, I mean, really, we have two aces here that are both reversed. I feel like both of these people desire some sort of new beginning. They're just not sure how to go about this. For the goose, they feel a lot of confusion. They need clarity. And for the chipmunk, they feel like this connection isn't stable or secure, and therefore it makes them very nervous. And for the Star reverse, it feels like it's a dream that's out of reach at the moment. And for the connecting energies, there's the Nine of Swords. So while there's still this like sweetness that they feel for one another, there, you know, and while there is this resting period, this resting period is being riddled on both of their ends with anxiety for this connection. I feel as though the goose really wants to do what's best for themselves, and also try to show up for this connection. But the chipmunk is on a different page than the goose right now. And the chipmunk feels very unheard. And if you look at this, we have the catfish and the chipmunk looking at the goose, and the goose is looking away. And if we look at this Nine of Swords, the swords are facing the chipmunk and the catfish. I think that this person on this side feels much more anxiety about this connection than this person does. However, this person still has a lot of love with this Two of Cups here. The goose really wants to come to some sort of compromise. And I think the chipmunk probably does too. They just feel so defeated right now. They feel very defeated. Ooh. Well, pile 2, that's what I'm seeing for you guys. Oh, you know what? Let's get some advice. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get some advice for pile 2. I feel as though this pile needs it. Whether you're the goose or the chipmunk, this is not the funnest energy to be in. Okay, what advice is there for pile 2? What advice is there for pile 2? Okay, we have all that I need is coming to me in ways I could never have imagined. Okay, what advice is there for pile 2? Taking care of myself is a radical act of love. Yeah, I feel like if you are resonating with this chipmunk energy, I feel as though this card in particular is really calling upon you to bring this mother energy to yourself and really start nurturing and comforting yourself, self-soothing, and really working on this turmoil that's going on right now. And we've all been here before. I'm in no way trying to shame the chipmunk, because I've definitely been in this energy before. And it's tough when you feel as though you're losing somebody that you really had a lot of hope for. When I see good in others, I acknowledge it out loud. This is all beautiful advice. And I think that taking on a more positive approach with the light attributes of the child, being more optimistic, seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things, the belief that everything is possible, really starting to search for the good, for the positives. And I'm in no way saying like good vibes only, but looking for that magic as you would a child who's experiencing new things every day for the first time is a really wonderful way to mother yourself or to tap into your inner child healing. Let's keep going. We're going to get a couple from the relationship advice deck. What advice is there for pile 2? Okay, so we have 2 cards here. I'm going to go ahead and take them, and then we'll be done. Let's see. We have acceptance. When I get to know new people, I accept their actual traits rather than the ones I project on them. Same goes for not new people I already know. Acceptance is the delicate art that reminds us everyone is their own unique self, and we can't expect them to ever be anything but. Man, how do those snowflakes do it? And we have grace. I face disagreements with grace and flow through the ups and downs of my relationships without getting thrown off center. With grace, I am able to keep my cool, be my best self, and not resort to name calling, even when that crappy poo-poo face is being a douchey barf monster. Okay, pile 2, this is where I am going to leave you today. If this reading resonated with you, I would love to hear about it in the comment section down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so that I will have the opportunity to read for you again soon. And hopefully I'll see you in another video. Bye! Hello, group 3. If you chose this, oh, can I get it? If you chose this whale, then this is going to be your reading. And basically what we're doing today is we're going to do a you versus them, what's going on in this connection type of reading. So I've pulled oracle cards for person 1 and person 2. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys decide which person you are. And then I've also pulled cards to see what the connecting energy is. You might see yourself in both of these piles. You might see your person in both of these piles. That's okay too. There might be mirroring involved. Just go ahead and take whatever resonates, leave the rest. And if it doesn't resonate, there might be another pile for you. So let's get right on into it. So person 1 is showing up in this connection as the bee. And they're showing up as the judge. And their energy toward this connection is the goddess. Person 2 is showing up as the tortoise. I'm going to move this. Oh. I have to move my little plant. I don't think we'll have enough space to see it. Okay, the tortoise and the lover. And their energy toward the connection is the femme fatale. And then the connecting energies between these two people is illumination, child wounded, and pain. Okay, so this is a very passionate connection. I'm going to start with that. And I also would not be surprised if this was a same-sex connection of some kind, but there is a lot of passion here, and this is also a very triggering connection, I would say, for both of you. But let's go ahead and get right on into it. And that everything I just said, not all of it's going to resonate. I know that's very specific, but I am picking up on that, so I did want to share that with you. So person 1 is showing up as the bee and the judge. And what I'm getting from this is that this person is really wanting to show up in a way that helps this connection really grow. They really want to fertilize this connection. They see endless possibilities in this connection. However, at the same time, when they are triggered, they can cause a lot of harm to both the other person, but even more so to themselves. When the bee stings, it's doing it out of self-protection, but it ends up killing the bee. So I'm really sensing this strong desire for intimacy, and I don't necessarily see them even running away or being avoidant, but I do see this bee person being triggered, and when they are, their stinger comes out, and it ends up hurting them as well as you. I sense that them using their stinger, if you will, and seeing you in pain after they've said some harsh words, things like that, is painful for them too. And I am not in any way talking about abuse. I will never, my readings are not, they don't cover that. And there are lots of resources for people who are in abusive relationships, and I am in no way justifying someone's abusive behavior. I'm talking more in the sense of having an argument, and perhaps your inner child coming out for a moment and saying some harsh words, but not, and having a human moment and making a mistake. I am not talking about abuse. And with the judge here, I sense that they really, they are somebody who I could see potentially as somebody who is social justice oriented, but I also see them as somebody who really advocates for this connection, and really looks at things from a black and white perspective of right and wrong, and really wants to do right and is very hard on themselves when they do wrong. And they could be very hard on this tortoise too when the tortoise makes a mistake. And then With the goddess here, we have the light attribute is the feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. And the shadow attribute is exploitation of the female nature and form. And I think this is just, I think these two cards coming out for each person is very interesting, because I'm sensing mirroring energy here in terms of how you both are approaching this. And it's very interesting. So what I'm sensing from this is that for both of you, in all honesty, there is a lot of sexual chemistry here. There's a lot of physical intimacy. I think this B person really is very feminine in their energy, and is very sensual and expresses that. That is how they express their care for this tortoise. However, I think the shadow attribute of exploitation of the female nature and form, that probably also shows up in one way or another for this bee. And what's interesting is that I think it shows up for this tortoise as well. With the femme fatale as the tortoise's energy, I'm getting distracted. I should talk about the lover and the tortoise first. So for this person being represented as the tortoise, this person has much more of like a slow approach. And I think that there is a lot of passion that this person is feeling towards this bee person. I think there's equal amounts of passion here. However, this tortoise doesn't act out on their passion in the same way this bee does. There is no stinger that comes out when they feel passionately attacked or anything like that. This tortoise goes into their shell. And I'm also sensing that they don't really want to rush things. This tortoise is not one to rush, to run into things, whereas the bee is a much faster energy and just really wants to go, go, go. The tortoise is much slower and is much more patient and is willing to allow time to do its thing. And we have lover here. I'm sensing that this tortoise person is slow, but they're not being slow towards this connection because they want to keep their options open or anything like that. I sense a great deal of loyalty, and this person's heart space is wide open in terms of this connection. There's a lot of love here on the tortoise's end, and I do sense it on the bee's end too. It's just more of like a fiery, fast kind of feeling that I'm picking up on with this. However, again, with this femme fatale, the light attributes highlights the erotic energy of the feminine, opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. And the shadow attributes are inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money, and power. And I think that this is a very triggering connection for the both of you. And it's triggering because you both show up with this same type of wounded energy. Whereas like with I'm sure there's light attributes that you're showing up with as well. But this wounded energy that kind of shows up in a sensual type of way in order to gain control or a sense of control of your surroundings or a sense of safety or a sense of acceptance is showing up for both of these people here. And I think that can be very triggering to see it in one another. We have illumination here. It's like I feel as though you two are looking at one another and you see one another's shadows, and it triggers you to have to acknowledge your own shadow. And then we also have pain. So again, I'm sensing that while there's a lot of love here, this connection is forcing you to do some inner child healing. With child wounded here, we have the light attributes awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children, opens the learning path of forgiveness. And I think that both of you see one another's hurts and are really trying to help one another heal. Then we have the shadow attributes. Blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resists moving on through forgiveness. And that could be the case. That's not what I'm picking up on. I'm picking up on a hurt that both of you guys recognize in one another, and you guys are helping one another heal. If that I'm sure that makes sense. Okay. So if that resonated, let's go ahead and get into tarot. I'm going to ask, what's going on in this connection? What is going on in this connection? Okay, we have the Knight of Swords. What's going on in this connection? We have the Tower. We have the Ten of Wands. What's going on in this connection? We have the Queen of Cups. We have the Nine of Swords. I'm just gonna take that. What's going on in this connection? We have the Five of Swords. Why is the Knight of Swords here? Okay, I'm just going to take these two. We have the Queen of Swords and Strength. Why is the Tower here? We have Judgment. So interesting. Why is the Ten of Wands here? We have the Eight of Pentacles. Why is the Queen of Cups here? Okay. We have the Eight of Swords and Death. Why is the Nine of Swords here? We have the Six of Wands and the Five of Swords. We have the King of Swords. We have the King and the Queen of Swords here. And then the bottom of the deck is the Hanged Man, which was also the bottom of the deck for pile 1. Okay. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to read these cards as if they are for the bee and these cards as if they represent the tortoise. And if you need to flip-flop them or whatever, feel free to do so. So let's go ahead and start with this bee person. So we have the Knight of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and Strength. And again, this Knight of Swords is such, like, out of all of the knights, this is probably the fastest knight of them all. And it's giving me that same bee energy. And the Knight of Swords can be very rash, very quick to make decisions, but can also be quick to change their mind. And we also have the Queen of Swords and Strength. And I'm sensing that this bee person is really being hard on themselves right now, but also trying to show themselves compassion. Like, I think that with this connecting energy being determined or illumination, I think that they're seeing this part of themselves and recognizing that this impulsiveness that they have, these harsh words that they can say. The Queen of Swords is, out of all the queens, this one is the harshest and the quickest to make a decision and to turn cold. And I'm sensing that with this bee person, they're recognizing this in themselves, and there are also light attributes to both of these cards. It's not just negative, but they're sensing with this judge here. I think that they're doing a lot of self-work and looking at themselves. And I'm sensing that they feel as though this is something that they need to really work on. But instead of really making themselves feel shitty about this or like beating themselves up, they're really trying to come at it from a point of self-compassion and self-love. And then we have Judgment and the Tower. And again, this is such triggering energy. This is like on a soul level type of triggering. It's not like they said something and it really upset me because, I like it this way. Something like that. That's not the level of triggering I'm talking about. This is profound in the sense of it. This connection is really shaking up their world and really causing them with Judgment to have some sort of reckoning with themselves, with their past, with their higher self, and with this tortoise. And it's positive energy. The tower seems scary, but the tower is an opportunity to clear the path of what's no longer serving you. And in this instance, with judgment being right underneath it, I think that this has to do with this person's heart space, this person's soul journey. This is a very spiritual growth that this person is going through in connection with this connection. And then we have the 10 of Wands and the 8 of Pentacles. This B person is releasing something that's very heavy. And for this image to have this woman's face coming off, I feel as though it's really challenging them to look at themselves and ask themselves who they are. And when it comes to healing, especially child healing, there of course there's a lot of things that once they've been felt, once they've been acknowledged, once they've been worked through, once you've shown yourself this compassion, the only thing left to do is to let go. And I think that's probably a lifelong process. But this B person is at this stage of redefining themselves and what it is that they want, and learning to let go of things that are no longer serving them or that weigh heavy on their heart. And for the 8 of Pentacles to be right underneath it, I feel as though this person is really working on patience. With the bee here being such a fast-oriented animal, or speed-oriented animal, I'm sensing that when it comes to this healing that's being triggered because of this connection, they're trying to take a different approach than what naturally comes to them. They're trying to take an approach in which they can rest, and in which they can let things settle while they work on this healing. They're taking on an approach of understanding that healing isn't linear, and instead of trying to do some sort of some quick fix, they're really trying to put in the work. And if you're the tortoise, it might not seem like it, but this is something that they are really working hard on within themselves. Okay, and then when we come over here to the tortoise, we have the Queen of Cups, Death, and the 8 of Swords. And what I sense is going on with this tortoise person is that this connection is triggering them into understanding that, like, it's okay to feel really big feelings, and feeling these feelings doesn't have to make you believe that you're trapped or like you're a victim. I want to say this the right way. Maybe victim isn't the right word. What I'm getting from this 8 of Swords and Death is that this person, this tortoise person, is learning that big feelings isn't some sort of death sentence. Big feelings aren't something that make you powerless. And I think that this tortoise person, especially because this tortoise person really has a shell around themselves, is really learning how to step out of that shell and have their heart space more open, and allow vulnerability in. And they're really trying to kill off this idea that it's not safe to be heart-centered. And then we have the 9 of Swords and the 6 of Wands. I I get the feeling that at the moment, especially with the Five of Swords and the King of Swords here too, I get the feeling that this tortoise has probably recently felt the sting of this bee and feels pretty wounded by it, and is in this headspace right now of feeling really upset about it, and is with the Six of Wands and the Five of Swords. I feel like they have this desire right now, and I don't think that they're going to act on it, but right now I feel like their feelings are hurt, or they're still feeling the sting, and they envision themselves stinging this bee back. It's very ego-centered right now at the moment. I feel as though this tortoise at the moment is in a very triggered space currently. However, in terms of this connection, just overall, they really want to be more vulnerable and open. And I think that this bee really wants to work on not being so harsh or volatile, because it's keeping this tortoise in their shell. And I do think that the tortoise sees this bee as their counterpart at the moment, with the Queen of Swords here and the King of Swords here. I think both people see one another as the person that they want to be with at the moment. There's just a lot of healing that needs to be done. And then the connecting energy right here is the Hanged Man. And I'm sensing that both parties really want to do right by one another. While there is this like egoic pain that's happening right now, the connecting energy is the Hanged Man. I don't think that this person is actually going to act on this. I think they're going to try to stay in their heart space and lick this wound and try to forgive. And of course, if you're the tortoise, you know what happened with the bee, and if you don't want to, I'm really not sensing you actually wanting to like inflict some sort of revenge if this is resonating with you as the tortoise. And quite frankly, you don't have to forgive if you don't want to. And I'm not saying that you need to. But I do sense a lot of healing going on right now. And regardless of whether or not you two come together in this, you know, in the future and remain in this connection, I'm not asking that, but what I see right now is a level of surrender on both ends from both parties. But let's go ahead and get some advice for you. What advice is there for pile 3? What advice is there for pile 3? Okay. We have, I release my need to be right. I am defenseless and at peace. Yes, 100%. I was definitely picking up on that need to let some defenses down. Okay. We also have, I send a prayer of love to all beings in need of a miracle. What advice is there for pile 3? And we have, my greatest experience of freedom comes when I let go of what others think of me. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and get a couple from this relationship deck. What advice is there for pile 3? We have warmth. I focus on warmth and let it guide all my interactions. No matter how others behave, I choose to respond warmly. With warmth, I can melt any icy exterior. I can soften any hard feelings. I can microwave any pizza. Today, I adopt the saying, kill him with kindness, and turn myself into a warm and loving serial killer. What advice is there for pile 3? Okay. And we have compassion. I choose compassion over criticism. Walking a mile in other people's shoes reminds me they might be going through something tougher than I think, like their shoes are too tight, or they're the kind of shoes that are too casual to be dressy and too dressy to be casual. Basically, I have no idea what they're dealing with privately, so I'll cut them some slack and be thankful for the shoes I've been dealt. Yes, and I think that compassion 100% needs to extend to you at all times. Remember to show yourself compassion, pile 3. But pile 3, this is what I'm seeing for you. If it resonated, I would love to hear about it in the comment section down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so that I will have the opportunity to read for you in another video, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Bye!